You can forgive someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you forget what they did. You can let go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship is the same as it was before. So I believe I just learned the real difference between forgiveness and letting go. Or perhaps more precisely, in Hebrew, you have two terms that are used for, often translated as forgiveness. And one is mochel, mechila, and one is slicha, soleach. And these terms are used all over the Yom Kippur davening, right? We say slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. And it's strange because it seems redundant. What are these different words? Why are we asking him to forgive us and atone for us? Why are we saying forgive twice? What is the difference between these two words? I once heard that only Hashem can be soleach, but anyone can be mochel. And there's the term mochel. It's used all over Talmudic literature, especially in civil law when it comes to theft or basically any form of harm you can cause another human being. The other person can be mochel the harm. In other words, the person lets go. And I believe this is really the difference between mochel, mechila, and slicha. And this came clear to me from just watching a Rabbi Friedman video on forgiveness that he just released. I've been wondering, why is it that only Hashem can be soleach, no one else can be soleach, and anyone can be mochel? What is really the difference between slicha and mechila? If they're both forgiveness, what is so special about one of them that makes it Hashem's ability / right alone? In other words, in Hebrew, if you speak with a religious Jew in Hebrew, they won't say slicha. They'll say mechila. Like slicha, that's the first word you learn in Hebrew if you want to be polite, which immediately sells you out as an American. I mean, your accent. But also just saying slicha all the time, it's very not Israeli. Which by the way isn't Lashon Hara. I'm not saying that as a bad thing about Israelis. It's a difference in culture, and that's not Lashon Hara. I want that to be very clear. Anyways, so on the slicha versus mechila, so you'll notice if you really are a Hebrew speaker, mechila is the word that religious Jews, when they interact with each other, they don't say slicha. And that's because we understand that slicha is reserved to Hashem, mechila is reserved to us and our fellow human beings. And it really comes down to boundaries. This is kind of a synthesis of a teaching that I understood just now from Rabbi Friedman, and something I heard a long time ago, like 3 years ago, from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, from his talk, I think at JLI, the Jewish Learning Institute, on how to forgive when you can't forget. That's what I believe it's called. I'll put a link in my description to that, and I'll also put a link to Rabbi Friedman's video. In other words, you can forgive someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you forget what they did. You can let go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship is the same as it was before. If you let go, it's for you. If you let go, you're putting out the fire that resides in your heart, that has tormented you for however long. You're doing yourself a favor when you let go. And that is what we mean every night before we go to bed when we say, Harini mochel, I am mochel, whoever angered me, teased me, and so forth. That's the tradition. A Jew before going to bed is mochel. And it's a favor we do upon ourselves. First and foremost, it's not a self-righteous gesture to feel good about ourselves, but rather it's a form of self-care. There's nothing noble about it. We don't need to pretend to be noble when we're forgiving another person. And this, I believe, is the uniqueness of Judaism. This is what it makes it stand out from all the other religions in the world, in that there is a recognition of what is inside and what is outside. Before we do anything, as a Jew, we make distinctions. The first thing we do when the week begins is Havdalah. In Judaism, we recognize, as it says in the Zohar, that unity starts with making a distinction. Before you can be together, you have to first define how you are not the same. Alma de Peruda, the world of separation, precedes the world of unity. It says in the Zohar that Tuma, impurity, begins as unity and ends as separation, whereas purity, Kedusha, sanctity, begins with separation and ends in unity. You must first recognize what you are not. You must first recognize what is inside versus what is outside before you can connect the inside with the outside, the you with the other, the self with the fellow. And this is the chiddush that Judaism has to bring to the world, that we have yet to bring to the world, and this is what everyone is striving for. Everyone is craving now. Nationalism, globalism, boundaries, healthy relationships. This is what everyone is dying to find out. And we have it. And it's right here in the difference between mechila and slicha. Why can only Hashem be soleach? Which really the translation for soleach is forgiveness. Truly only Hashem can forgive, because Hashem is the only one who really knows that you will never do what you did ever again. I can only let go of what you did. I can choose not to hold it against you, but doesn't mean that I would unwittingly or wittingly put myself in harm's way again, endanger myself, let myself be in a position where you can stab me again. That takes a little more time. That takes a rebuilding of a bit of trust. I don't know your true intentions. So even though I let go of it perhaps 10 years ago, a wise person does not necessarily translate letting go into letting in. And that is the key distinction. So turning the other cheek, that is an externalization. It's not the real deal. Turn the other cheek inside. Smile inside. Don't smile on the outside if you don't feel safe to. Don't force it. If you force it, it's not real and it won't last. Whatever isn't real isn't going to last. So I'm so happy. I believe Hashem has given me the most clarity I've ever had in the distinction between these two words. And it's given me a glimpse of how these two words, just like every other Jewish concept, is rooted in the essence of the Jewish idea, which is personalization before unification. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. First, Hashem is our God, and then He is one. Before anything else, make it personal. Don't neglect yourself. Don't forget yourself when you wish to reach out to the other. There is no subsuming of individual, of self, of other. Don't absorb the differences. Acknowledge them, make them as real as they ought to be, and then bridge. And that is why Judaism is the most globalistic religion. That is why we, the Jewish people, are the strongest, most eternal people. Because we first and foremost recognize who we are before we recognize what it all is for. Thank you for watching. And I guess, if you like the video, you might want to subscribe. I don't know if I should ask for subscriptions. I'm not asking. I've been thinking a lot about, my intentions behind these videos. And ultimately, the goal is to spread what I believe to be the message everyone needs to hear, including myself. As I see it, I share it. And so to accumulate a following is obviously a goal that I have with this in mind. Because the more I have that following, the more I can spread the message. Whatever that message is. And it's fleshing out as I go. But I know it has to do with this personalization. Because we are so lonely. We're so alienated nowadays. Because we fail to make the proper distinctions. We're very, very good at mumbling things together. And there's value to that. But we skipped a step. So we have the goal. We have the end. It's very clear what we want. We want everyone to be together. But we don't know how to get there. And I believe that personalization, getting to know yourself, getting to know your God, and getting to know the Jewish people and the true Torah of the Jewish people, personalizing it is key to moving towards redemption. Anyways. So I bless all of us to be mochel, to learn to truly, truly let go of all that has harmed us. And in a sense, mochel might have to do with the word meyachel and matchil, which are related to the terms for hopefulness and beginnings. When you are mochel, you're cleaning the slate for a better beginning, a better future. So may we be able to let go for the sake of betterness. Not to feel some self-righteous nobility, but to be simply better, to be well, to heal. And may God forgive us as we truly return to Him and ourselves. Something like that.